emotional intelligence about the emotional brain and the origin of the emotional intelligence. Look at that, we'll look at the means of emotional intelligence, characteristics of emotionally intelligent people, benefits of emotional intelligence. Then we'll talk about exhibiting emotional intelligence at home and at the workplace. Then we'll conclude. So let me begin by introducing one of the most desirable personality qualities is intelligence. It is so much desired that to select people for school, job, or any meaningful aspect of life, that is diagnosis, and to judge the worth or effectiveness and the competence of any person. Test. In fact, Andor, 1998, has even opined that it is the single most effective predictor of individual performance at school and on the job. And so, however, recent researches have of human intelligence, specifically Stenberg and Gardner, 1983, have argued that IQ tests measure only a restricted aspect of human intellectual ability. They therefore highlight how critical it is to consider other factors and contexts. In this way, they seem to support the notion that there exist several kinds of intelligence, of which emotional intelligence is one. Now, I would like to explain the term emotional intelligence and associated terms. Emotions are involved in everything we do. They are involved in every action we take, as well as every decision and judgment we make. Thus, they can serve very useful function if used properly. The ability to use emotions wisely is considered a type of intelligence. The term emotional intelligence can therefore be described as the ability, the capacity or skill to identify, assess, and manage your own emotions, that of others, and of groups. People who have high degree of emotional intelligence know themselves very well, can manage themselves very well, and they can interact with others very successfully. According to May, Caruso, and Salovey, 2000, emotional intelligence refers to the ability to recognize meanings of emotions and their relationships, and to reason and problem solve on the basis of them. Emotional intelligence is involved in the capacity to perceive emotions, assimilate emotions, emotion-related feelings, understand the information of those emotions, and manage them. People who are high in emotional intelligence have the ability to use their emotions wisely and appear to have deeper understanding of their emotional lives. Emotional mastery, another term that we had to deal with, refers to the ability to exercise control over your emotional state without letting it or anything else affect you. Emotional mastery is a process that enables you to become aware of your emotional states and to learn to direct them. It makes you aware of how you feel moment by moment. and use it for your own advantage. The gist to all of us is that emotional mastery is that you learn to consciously direct your emotions so that they are useful for what you want to do, and to not leave yourselves and your moods at the mercy of external events and random occurrences. Now, let us take a little dive into what an emotional brain is. With advances in neuroscience and brain imaging technique, scientists have come to a better understanding of how the brain works. Scientists make a distinction between the emotional center of the brain and the neurocortex. The emotional center gives rise to feelings and emotions, while the neurocortex is responsible for thinking and reasoning. Scientists explain that a visual signal first goes to the thalamus, where it is translated into the language of the brain. Most of the messages then go to the visual cortex, where it is analyzed and assessed for meaning and appropriate response. If that response is emotional, a signal goes to the amygdala to activate the emotional centers. However, a smaller portion of the original signal goes straight from the thalamus to the amygdala in a quicker transmission, allowing a faster response. Thus, the amygdala can trigger an emotional response before the cortical centers have fully understood what is happening. In that regard, to be concerned with your emotional life and to have full grasp of how your emotional brain works will help you to be able to manage situation very fast and as quick as possible. Now, the concept of emotional intelligence is not new. It started with Darwin when he made it plain that emotional expression is very important for survival. However, the concept emotional intelligence was popularized in 1995 by Daniel Goleman in his book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. Scholars such as Thorndike, Welsler, Gardner, Meyer and Salovey, and Baron, all these psychologists explain variously how emotional intelligence and how one manages his or her emotion can help us to live a better life. In this regard, it is important that we become aware of the domains of emotional intelligence so that we'll be able to manage our emotions very well, so that we don't allow people or situations to take undue advantage of us. Generally, there are 5 domains of emotional intelligence. These are self-awareness, self-regulation, self-motivation, social awareness, and social skills. The first 3 are classified under what is called personal competences. The last 2 fall under social competences. I'll take each one of these domains and throw some light on them. First thing we do with regard to emotional intelligence is to be aware of ourselves. That is self-awareness. It involves being aware of your emotions, called emotional awareness. This means that you recognize your own emotions and their effects on your life. The second thing has to do with accurate self-assessment. This has to do with knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. You know what you can do best and your limitations, things that you can't do as much as you want to do. Then there is self-confidence. It is the sureness about your own self-worth and your own capabilities. Then we go to self-regulation, which I mentioned as one of the domains. Self-regulation entails self-control. It has about 6 things under it. The first thing that comes with self-regulation is self-control. Self-control has to do with being able to manage disruptive emotions and impulses. For instance, if you are easily prone to anger, you are easily prone to sadness, that disrupts your daily activities. Self-control gives you that ability to be able to manage these disruptive emotions and impulses that have that can possibly endanger your life and your happiness. Then another thing that comes under the self-regulation has to do with the trustworthiness. It has to do with maintaining standards of honesty and integrity. So you regulate yourself in such a way that you set standard for yourself, then you try to live the best as you can to be yourself and to live with integrity. Then the third one has to do with conscientiousness. Conscientiousness has to do with taking responsibility for personal performance. So you consciously take charge of what you do with your life. And that is conscientiousness. Then the fourth thing that comes under self-regulation is adaptability. This has to do with the flexibility with which you handle change. So how you adjust to situations. For instance, you're posted to a new area, you don't like the area, how do you handle it? A new person, you are assigned to work under a new boss who is showing an attitude that you're not familiar with. How do you handle it? So the flexibility with which you handle change is what we mean by adaptability. It is the ability to be able to adjust, to acclimatize to situations. Then the fifth thing that comes under self-regulation is innovativeness. Being comfortable with and open to novel ideas and new information. So as you live your life, some new information can upset you. Some of them can be it can overexcite you. So self-regulation is that ability to be calm and comfortable with and open to new things, new ideas, and new information that come your way. Then we move to self-motivation. Self-motivation is one of the domains of emotional intelligence. The things that come under it is achievement drive, striving to improve yourself, striving to meet standard of excellence. You set a goal for yourself, then you strive to achieve that target. Then the second thing that comes under self-motivation is commitment. The commitment has to do with aligning with the goals of the group or the organization you belong to. For instance, if you are working in the hospital, you align yourself with the goals of that particular hospital. If you are working in an educational center, you try to align yourself with the goals of the educational center, so that you show some amount of dedication as you work under it. Another thing that comes under self-motivation is initiative, the readiness to act on opportunities. That opportunities present themselves in your workplace, maybe at the hospital, in your business. So you look at it, you are so ready, you are alert. As soon as the opportunity comes, then you act. It's like striking when the iron is hot, or carpe diem. You're able to seize the moment. And these are things that you can emotionally do to when that comes under self-motivation. Then the fourth one is under self-motivation is optimism. This has to do with the persistence in pursuing goals despite obstacles, impediments, and setbacks. So as you pursue your goal, there may be stumbling blocks, there may be setbacks. Your ability to be tenacious, to be persistent, to pursue your goal regardless of the stumbling blocks that come your way is what we call optimism. Then, the three I have mentioned: self-awareness, self-regulation, self-motivation. All of these come under what we call personal competence with respect to emotional domains. Then the last two I'm going to talk about: social awareness and social management. Social awareness is what we call social competence. Under social awareness, the first thing that comes under it is empathy. You are able to sense the feelings of others and their perspectives, and you take active interest in their concerns. So you see, you are able to put yourself in the shoes of others, and you're able to go enter their world, and you show concern in it. Your ability to do this will give you some amount of mastery. You call it social. You give you some. You are aware of this. It comes under emotional intelligence. Then the second thing that comes under it is service orientation. You are able to anticipate, recognize, and meet the needs of those who come to seek your services. As you work in the educational sector, as you work in the hospital, people come to work, seek your help, or people have need to come to you for certain services. You are oriented to anticipate their needs, you recognize their needs, and you do all you can to be able to meet their needs. All of it are what we call social awareness. Then on the third thing that comes under it is developing others. In developing others, you sense what others need in order to develop, and you do everything to support their abilities. So if, let's say, you are the doctor in the hospital and a nurse is there, you suggest to the person, what are you doing to improve upon yourself? I can see that you have talent in this particular, you have interest in it. What can you do to improve yourself? So you support the person, you sense what they truly need, then you help to develop and support their abilities. Then there is also what we call leveraging diversity. So you are able to cultivate opportunities through diverse people. In the hospital, you work with people from different backgrounds. In the educational sector, you work with people from different background. You're able to leverage them. You cultivate opportunities through these different people that you work with. Then you have what you call political awareness. You are able to read the group's emotional currents and the power relationship, how people try to maneuver their way. You are not oblivion to this. You are aware of it so that you don't allow it to take control over you when they happen. Then with the last thing under the domain, social domains, social competence under domains of emotional intelligence is social skills. Under this, you have various skills in influencing others, skills in communicating, skills in leadership, skills in serving as a catalyst of change, skills in conflict management and resolution, skills in building bonds, then skills in getting people to collaborate and cooperate, then building team abilities. Now, let me quickly go through this. Under this skill of influence, you have effective tactics or strategies to persuade people to be able to do what is right in order to achieve the goal of your organization. Then under communication, you're able to send a clear and convincing messages that is well understood by everyone who is listening to you or who is taking from you. Then we have leadership, the ability to inspire and guide groups and people. So, this is a skill in emotional intelligence, okay, as we call it social skills, that you have this ability to inspire and guide groups, you guide people. Then the fourth one is the change catalyst. In this particular one, you're able to initiate and manage change. So first of all, the change starts from you. Then when change also comes, that comes from you. You're able to manage it. Then the fifth one is emotional management. This one has to do with your ability to negotiate, in negotiating and resolving disagreements, conflicts, troubles, problems. So as you work with people, it is not always that people will agree. It is not always that people will take will go the same line. Being able to negotiate a trade position in order that people come to terms and be able to live together and work together is what we call conflict management. Then one of the skills you develop on the emotional domains is building bonds, nurture strong relationships with people. Then another thing is collaboration and cooperation. Under this, you others towards a group shared goal. Then team capabilities has to do with creating group synergy in pursuing collective. So get all the group come together to bring out their best, that the collective goals of the group will be achieved. Then, so to sum up, what is the means of emotional intelligence? We will say that it first one has to do with knowing your emotions. The second thing has to do with your emotions. Then the third thing has to do with motivating yourself so that you can express your feelings, your emotions. Then the fourth has to do with recognizing and understanding other emotions. Then the last one has to do with managing relationships as a result of emotional expressions. Now, let us look at characteristics of emotionally intelligent. When people are emotionally intelligent, these things characterize them. And we can take you from what we have and from the work of Salome. People who are emotionally intelligent are able to recognize what they are feeling when they are, and they are able to accurately express their feelings. And the second characteristic of an emotionally intelligent person is that he or she is able to create and maintain effective personal relationships. The person is able to make conversation with others. The person is able to sustain that relationship. Then they're able to motivate themselves. Apart from that, they're able to marshal their emotions to help them reach their goals. And they have skills reading and to show concern for their feelings. Then they are able also to manage the feelings and the emotions of others so that they can live with them. Now, the benefits you can gain from emotional intelligence have to do with it helps you to understand yourself better, understand others, you're able to live with them, you're able to manage them, you're able to exercise good leadership. And so, from what I am saying, emotional intelligence is one of the most important things that any person can pursue. Is something that can be learned. We learn to be intelligent emotionally. It is not only emotional intelligence that counts, but being able to master your own intelligence, your emotions. Sometimes we allow our emotion to take control over us, but it is possible for you to do things that can help you have mastery over your own emotions. The point is that if you don't, emotions are very good thing. They are very good servants, but if you don't take control of them, you don't know how they happen, and you don't take charge of them and control them, they may lead you to do things that you may later on regret. With this, I'll bring my talk to an end, and I'll give time for those who have questions to ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Gordon. Sometimes we allow our emotions to overtake us, and emotions are good, but if we allow them, they may lead us to the wrong path. So we want to thank Father Gordon very much. It's a very powerful talk. In fact, we will have 40 more minutes for discussion. This one will go off. When it goes off, we will rejoin. So please unmute yourself, and if you have any questions for Father Gordon, any discussions, you unmute yourself and you ask question. My friend Destiny is here. I know the Sheikh will ask question. Father Ganu is here, Ekua is here, and other ones are here. You can unmute yourself and ask questions if you want to. Thanks.
Yeah, hello, Father.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me ask the clinical psychologist a question on emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a client who is having self-awareness. He understands the situation that the others are going through. Just that this client is very quick-tempered, and the reason for his behavior is as a result of his temperament being a choleric, and then the fact that he wants things to always go fast. He wants things to always be done on time. Can we say that this person is emotionally not intelligent? Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for your question. Mr. Anokra, very perceptive question, I must say. We cannot say this person is not emotionally intelligent. The fact that the person is able to perceive certain things, but emotional intelligence has to do with being aware, the fact that the person is even aware of his or his emotions make him emotionally intelligent, and being able to see the need to do others. But emotional intelligence have to do with, is something that you learn, have to do with being able to manage your emotions such that you're able to be at peace with yourself and being able to relate well with others. And the person in question, if regardless of all of these things, the person is able to be at peace with himself and is able to work well with others, we can say he's emotionally intelligent. Then you see, we have degrees of emotional intelligence. It is something that we can always improve upon it. And so each one of us can always, regardless of our temperaments, we can always do something to improve upon our emotions, our intelligence emotionally, so that we are able to do what we must do, be at peace with ourselves, and also be able to relate well with others. All of these dimensions come. So I won't outright say that the person is not emotionally intelligent, but with respect to emotional intelligence, there are degrees, and to the level that the person is satisfied with himself, and to the extent that the person is able to relate with others, to the extent that the person is able to manage others in such a way that there are no disruptiveness, is what we all use as a measure of emotional intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gordon. I have a question for you. What is the relation between emotional intelligence and occupational stress? Because as workers, you know that there's why stress up, and that can have effect on our emotions. So, what can be the degree of relationship?
In fact, emotional intelligence have a lot to do with occupational stress, because emotions, no matter what emotional intelligence have to do with how you manage it, how judiciously you manage it. Definitely, if you are not able to manage the stress that comes to you, it have effect on you. So intelligence tells us that you have work to do. You work within some extent of the condition under which you have to. The intelligence here means that being able to maneuver, being aware of all of these things, and being able to maneuver all of this. So to be emotionally intelligent will help you to reduce emotional stress. There's a definitely a relationship, but the relationship is that it will help you to better manage the stress more than when if you are not emotionally intelligent.
That's very good. Destiny, Sheikh, Destiny.
Okay, yeah, Sheikh, yeah. As a Sheikh, I want to appreciate the inputs given by Reverend Father Gordon Bata. I enjoyed the lecture. So I want to say that emotional intelligence will help us a lot in a very practical way. You see, there are some people when they don't have money, their whole system breaks down. They can't be controlled, and some to have too much money, and then they are fooling around. You see, so but if you have emotional intelligence, whether you have like it's payday or not, you'll be a balanced person. So I guess we all need emotional intelligence in various facets of our lives. I mean, even I guess it's emotional intelligence that will help you know, like if you're at a party, how to behave. Some people see plenty drink, and but because they lack emotional intelligence, they drink too much and they get drunk. But emotional intelligence will tell you take a little, and then you can still have your head screwed on your neck. That's what I am drawing from your lecture as a Sheikh.
Thank you, Sheikh. Thank you, Sheikh.
That's all my Destiny. We are grateful. Anything for us before we will run away. Why is hiding? I think Anakwa. Yes, I think we had a very good lecture, and our next lecture will be given by our brother Anakwa. He's on the next week or something. So people informed, and thanks for joining us.
It's in July.
It's in July.
Yeah.
Like I'll look at it. But thanks for joining.
Yes.
And I will update you with the lecture. I wish you all a good night and sleep well.